than real life. So,
It's so interesting because I just got interviewed by a Thai fashion magazine about anime cosplay culture. So it's on YouTube too. But it's called Don't Magazine, like don't, like do not, like don't. But they just uploaded it earlier this month, and it's about anime, and I talk about the cosplay culture. So it's all like really kind of connected. Yeah.
So it's great timing to meet you just ahead of that interview. But it's the cultural side I really want to cover here. I'm going to start in a moment. I want to show you some data. Well, I'm going to show you some maps that kind of portray the population issue actually in Europe, which is similar from a graphical point of view. But then I mainly want to go into not so much directly population, more the cultural side of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very interesting development. Japan has its... Well, what I find interesting is it spreads throughout the region. So whatever happens in Japan becomes popular outside of Japan, in the region especially. Now it's spreading out to Western cultures as well.
Yeah, that's
what's happening in Japan is important and also worthy of that attention.
I think from a population point of view, you have to look at Japan, albeit its culture is different in certain ways, but the population trends are actually a leading trend around the world. More and more countries are following that same path, so understanding it I think is important. Almost understanding, well, this population trend, how much of it is linked to culture. Because cultures differ around the world and sometimes they're similar trends, so that's kind of the contradiction, I think.
I kind of see it as from a media perspective, I see it slightly differently. I don't think it's just based on culture. I think the media culture itself really contributes to all of this because, which I can talk about later, but...
We are rolling.
Are we? Okay.
Oh, you're rolling. Oh.
Let me just start off further. So this is recording, yes. So this is Tokyo interview number 3 on day 1, interviewing Professor Cookie Chu.
It's Cookie Chu. It's Cookie, just like Cookie. Yeah.
Cookie Chu. Thank you. All right. So we're probably going to go 20 minutes. Sometimes it goes to 30 or so.
Okay.
I forget. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean...
Okay. So I want to talk about what you're saying about media culture, but I just want to start to frame this. I've been here. I was drawn to Japan and ended up living here after visiting. I was drawn here for many reasons. I like the food. I like the people mostly. But I came here to research population. I thought I might find the answer here. And I really feel I haven't. I'm just as confused as I was prior to moving to Japan. In terms of what's happening around the world, so many countries are exhibiting similar trends, if not going down to hyper low levels, at least starting to fall. And I want to show you to start off a series of maps, and from that we'll just start. I want to know what you think in terms of what might be driving population fertility rates here. From that. So I don't really like talking about fertility rates because it's kind of a number that people listen to maybe once a year. Fertility rate gets quoted in the media and people go, oh wow, that's interesting, and then they go back to what they're doing and forget until the following year. So I've been showing these maps to people around the world, and just to explain them, this is France. This is France, 1995, 2005, and 2015. That's when I created the series of maps, and it hasn't changed too much. The picture's the same now. Green means there is more babies born in this year compared to the number of people aged 50. I took a slice of those two populations, newborns and 50-year-olds. In about 20 years' time, newborns are going to be going into the workforce, or education leading to going into the workforce, and 50-year-olds are going to be wanting to retire. So you can see in France 20 years ago, the green area means there is more babies than 50-year-olds. And now there's almost no, other than the Paris area, there's almost no green areas left. The redder the map gets, the greater this gap, the gap between the number of babies and 50-year-olds. And also these black areas widen, the greater the gap within each region. So you can see the trend over a short period, 20 years isn't that long demographically. We've gone to a situation where overall France had greater babies than 50-year-olds to very quickly situation now where there's a 14% difference, 14% birth gap. That's why I'm calling this the birth gap. I want to show you now. What's my navigation? There we go.